name's Krempski. First of all, I need to apologize for not being here 2 weeks ago, especially since I just promised that I would attend every meeting from now until eternity, so that was a lie and an inadvertent one, but I apologize.
You're excused.
Thank you. I didn't realize the election lined up with one of the meetings, and we were poll watching. Actually, almost everyone in my group was either poll watching or serving as an election judge last week. So tonight is our 7th meeting about unregulated adult entertainment in Yorkville. In all of this time, only one person from Yorkville has come to these city council meetings in support of the drag shows. She thanked you for upholding the laws, which you aren't, and she stated that the shows were safe because they took place in 21-plus establishments, which they did not. She stormed out, offended by our openness about our religious convictions without listening to any of our comments about actual ordinance violations. I think it's possible that what didn't happen over the last 3.5 months is even more significant than what did. In 3.5 months, no Yorkville business owner ever came to a city council meeting to explain why ordinances should be changed to allow drag in Yorkville. They never came to propose that male-female impersonation be removed from the adult entertainment category. No one from Yorkville has come to request that liquor license restrictions on entertainers twerking their bare buttocks in our restaurants be lifted. No one from Yorkville came to explain why it's so desperately important for us to invite sex workers into our downtown establishments. You may have had private conversations with various people, but that's not how this system works. The era of the backroom deal is over, even in Illinois. If ordinances need to change, we have the right to a public conversation. Proper notice must be given, comments heard, and committees set up so conversations can take place. None of that has happened in any formal way in the last 3.5 months. Nobody from Yorkville appears to have interest in that. We were anxious to share our ideas with people who were dissatisfied with current ordinances, but no one from Yorkville came to express dissatisfaction. No one from the council initiated a discussion about change. The topic was never added to the agenda. Nobody sent it to committee for debate. The shows were simply allowed to continue with the mayor's blessings without any legislative effort to protect kids or mitigate secondary effects on the community. You recklessly and illegally unleashed adult entertainment on downtown Yorkville without even making the slightest attempt to plan for regulation or oversight. Even after we discovered together over the last 3 months that oversight is decidedly necessary. At this point, what choice do you have but to uphold the published law? Are you willing to gamble tax dollars and the security of our community on the hope that the Supreme Court will overturn their 46-year-old doctrine and begin to support your opinion that importing half-naked adult entertainers and sex workers dressed in drag won't have secondary effects on rural Midwestern towns? Tennessee, Texas, and Florida have introduced legislation that will move them quickly in the opposite direction, implementing the very laws that we already have here in Yorkville, plus others that will criminalize exposing minors to drag. Our modern Yorkville forefathers knew what they were doing. Our laws are good, and they are necessary now more than ever. For the most part, Americans are sick of having to pretend to accept fringe sexual deviations as mainstream, especially where our children are concerned. We have no less love for the individuals that make up that fringe minority, but we will no longer pretend their behaviors honor the Creator's plans for their lives or for the lives of our children. You guys are going to be shocked by the way that God returns His nation back to upholding biblical values. I caution you against forcing gender-bending ideology on Yorkville via the legislative process. But ultimately, the final decision is yours, and all I can do is warn you. We have been here meeting after meeting asking you to do nothing more or less than the job you were elected to do, uphold published law. I appreciate the fact that you have and are entitled to your own opinions, but respectfully, they don't matter when it comes to enforcing the existing laws. If you don't want to enforce the laws we have on the books, attempt to pass new ordinances by following our city's open and transparent process. Don't just ignore law. Tyrants rule by their own whims. Leaders uphold laws and facilitate discussions about revising them if necessary. I recently submitted a FOIA request to the state for the Illinois Liquor Control Commission's investigation report into the now famous show that took place at South Bank Original Barbecue on June 11, 2022. This complaint never would have been submitted if Mayor Purcell had been willing to hear my comments and my concerns back in August. Instead, he insisted that I was motivated by bigotry from the first second that I ever got a chance to have a phone conversation with him. After an ignored email and 3 ignored voicemails, he refused to have a meeting with me, insisting that the parking lot of a Lisbon school, where we happened to come across each other's paths at a parade, was a more appropriate place to talk, and to continue to call me names and make off-topic remarks to distract from the real issue at hand. He consistently denied any claims about violated ordinances, spread rumors in an attempt to destroy my credibility, and lied about the legality of drag in Yorkville. At no point was he willing to have a productive dialogue. Even after all of this, my motivation is still not personal. As hard as you've tried to convince me to hate you, Mayor Purcell, I still do not. I still want to hang out with you every 2 weeks. My relentlessness, as I have said, is not personal, but it stems from my desire to restore our city to an environment where laws, processes, and citizens are respected. Yes. We're done being brushed off and ridiculed into silence. As a result of the roadblocks erected early on by this process, I was left with no choice but to attempt to file an official local complaint. After having problems getting the specified form from the city with which to file that complaint, I contacted the ILCC, which unfortunately complicated the lives of local business owners. The ILCC appeals process, and it's crazy because we were just talking about this earlier and you guys were expressing your frustration with it. This appeals process with the ILCC was established to provide oversight in situations like this, but that process was undermined when leaders lie about local ordinances to the ILCC, and they're allowed to do that without consequence. Within the FOIA investigation report, I found a letter written to the ILCC from Mayor Purcell. That's in your packet. It referenced the June 11th South Bank show and stated that, quote, "We have reviewed the complaint and pertinent information and find no violation of local ordinances," end quote. There was no violation of any local ordinances, or there was no violation of any local ordinances that you felt like upholding. Secondly, first, South Bank is not zoned for adult entertainment, and drag and partial nudity are defined as such in our code definitions. Secondly, 3312E2A of Yorkville Code states that it shall be unlawful for any persons, while acting as a waiter, waitress, bartender, entertainer, vendor, or any other position, to expose his or her genitals, pubic hair, buttocks, natal cleft, perineum, anal region, or pubic hair region. It's an undeniable fact that South Bank entertainers exposed their buttocks, and I have video proof of it, which I made available to all of you. The fact that the statute separately identifies buttocks and anal region and individually prohibits exposure of each lays to rest any argument that one might attempt to make about a G-string providing adequate coverage of the buttocks. Buttocks actually means buttocks in this statute. The video of the South Bank show was part of the ILCC complaint, and I also emailed the statute videos and still shots of the various exposed buttocks from the June 11th show to John Purcell on August 18th. You guys have a copy of that email and the replies in your packet. 12 days before he wrote this letter to the ILCC claiming that ordinances were not violated at South Bank. I requested that he reply to confirm receipt of my email, and he responded a few minutes later, quote, "Thank you, have a great day, John Purcell," end quote. A September 14th WSBY article states, quote, "Yorkville Mayor John Purcell maintains that the drag shows are not violating ordinances. Purcell says that his that he has addressed concerns of nudity in the drag shows, end quote. Confusing, huh? Are the shows in compliance or are the performers partially nude? Because it can't be both. Furthermore, every drag show taking place in Yorkville is a violation of our public code, as we currently do not have any businesses within the city that are properly licensed to host male-female cabaret. I understand the games that Mayor Purcell is playing. Violations don't become official until he blesses them as such. If he continues with these underhanded tactics, I will continue to move forward. We can finally have that local hearing to determine whether the South Bank performers officially exposed their buttocks, now that I have the FOIA requested complaint form that he avoided giving us back in August. But I would rather not put the owners of South Bank through that. Honesty on Mayor Purcell's part will end this without any further legal action. A September 15th Shaw Local article states, quote, the mayor said that he had contacted both Pins and South Bank about the shows and compared it to telling a homeowner to cut an overgrown lawn. Purcell stated, we don't give them a ticket, we politely say, can you please cut the weeds? This isn't the first business I've had to talk to in 3.5 years as mayor. End quote. The discomfort by being forced to view your neighbor's untidy lawn doesn't even compare to the damage done by performing half-nude outdoor drag shows in front of children.
That's right.
But I will play along for a minute. What gives a leader the right to approach a homeowner about long grass? Specifically, Section 415B7B of the Public Health and Safety Ordinances that prohibit weeds and grasses from exceeding the height of 8 inches. The fact that the homeowner has broken an ordinance gives the right to approach a homeowner and request action. What gives a leader the right to approach South Bank about drag and exposed buttocks? Disregard for the ordinances. Yet Mayor Purcell told the ILCC that no ordinances were violated during the June 11th show. Perhaps he has too many friends involved with this particular complaint to make an impartial ruling. An October 12th Shaw Local article states, quote, City Code prohibits the display of buttocks, but Purcell, who serves as the city's liquor control commissioner, has previously stated that he talked with the businesses and that they are now in compliance with the ordinance, end quote, which implies prior non-compliance. These press releases are manipulative. The contradictory messages being sent cause unnecessary confusion and division within the community, and the lies have sabotaged the process established for state oversight. It needs to stop. I'm told that all politicians operate this way, but they only do it because we tolerate it. Tonight, we're here to ask you to be truthful and to uphold ordinances. It's actually absurd that we need to come here and request that you do those two things. I was asked by a few members of the council to prepare a written statement of our specific requests. I think we've been fairly clear for the last 3.5 months about our request, but we're happy to prepare the statement, and I will read that statement now. You also have that in your packet. To whom it may concern, and I'm hoping that's all of you here. We, the undersigned citizens of Yorkville, request that the mayor and city council operate in truth and uphold and equally apply law with respect to adult entertainment that is currently being allowed to occur in Yorkville. We ask that the mayor or city council do the following. 1, send a new letter to the ILCC explaining that South Bank Original Barbecue was not properly zoned to host male-female impersonation on June 11, 2022 for Yorkville codes, and that the exposure of buttocks during the show violated Liquor Control Ordinance 3312E2A. 2, inform business owners and the general public that the South Bank Original Barbecue show violated Liquor Control Ordinance 3312E2A, and that all drag shows are defined as adult entertainment within the Yorkville codes, requiring special zoning and licensing. Number 3, consistently uphold and equally apply all written and published Yorkville ordinances. This is all we ever wanted. I don't think it's too much to ask for our leaders to be honest with us, to be honest with state investigators, and to uphold the law. Thank you.